Hello, I'm doing a series called Books from a Candy Dish, and where I just take a title of one of my books and pull it out of the dish and set a timer for 10 minutes and talk about it for 10 minutes off the cuff. Just whatever inspired me at the time to write it and anything about it that I can think of. So we'll see what happens. Okay, not looking. Oh, hey, Ron. Okay, Christmas parcel. All right, let me set a timer here. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Okay, so Christmas parcel. I wrote that many years ago. It's very short. I think it's shorter than A Christmas Carol. But I wanted to write something in time for her. See, this is a lot like what happened to Charles Dickens. So Charles Dickens had just experienced a couple terrible flops and abuses by his publisher. He was really mad at his publisher for the way they handled something in the latest, and so he was just furious with them. And he was ready for a comeback. He was ready to publish something. He needed to also. He had bills piling up. He really was kind of in a desperate situation. And you should watch. There's a really good movie about it that's loosely. I mean, it's loose, but it's called The Man Who Invented Christmas. And he decided that he was going to self-publish a Christmas book. And he had no time to do this. This was like October that he decided, I'm going to write a Christmas book. So he put out his own money and he wrote it really quickly and put out his own money to have it printed up and illustrated and everything else. So the next time that people tell you that self-publishing is not legit, tell them that Charles Dickens did it, Jane Austen did it, and all of the Bronte sisters did it. So there. Yeah, some of the greatest writers of all time. And Shakespeare was, I don't know, self-published. He like everything. So it is legit, and don't let people call it a vanity press either. That's just trying to delegitimize us as writers. So anyway, Charles Dickens self-published A Christmas Carol, and it was very fast that he wrote it. And that's I think why it's so good, because the other things that Dickens wrote is for like serials in the Strand magazine, and I think it was the Strand. I'm not sure, but he published it serially, and so he got paid for the longer that it was. So things like Great Expectations, it's so long, and everything is long and wordy and long and wordy and long and wordy. I mean, they're good, but they're long, and but he didn't have time to do that. And so it was just this raw, like refined story. And I said raw and refined are that's an oxymoron. So it's a refined story. It's put through the furnace because it had to be. He had to write it quickly. As a result, everything's in its purest form. And it's got the best story structure, everything. Nothing is unnecessary. It's perfect, I think. And so I've always loved it. It's always been my favorite book, and ever since I read it. And my favorite, I like a lot of the movie renditions of it. My favorite probably is the Jim Carrey version. That might surprise you, but I think the ghosts, especially the Ghost of Christmas Past, feel the closest to the spirit that Dickens was trying to evoke there. I like the George C. Scott version, but I think that Scrooge is a little bit too powerful in that one, and he's not in the books. You know, he's jerked back and forth helplessly by these spirits, and George C. Scott is just a powerful actor, and he wasn't going to let himself be flung around. But I like the music in that one. I love the music in that one and in the Jim Carrey one. Great music. I love it. But anyway, so I decided to write a sequel to A Christmas Carol. And I decided to explore Tiny Tim as he grew up, because obviously Tiny Tim, who did not die, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if the fear of poverty, which is what gripped Scrooge, if it got a hold of Tim, and if he was smart and kind of industrious, what would it be like if he started down this kind of the exact same path as Scrooge? And to kind of follow the same formula, if he was to get a visit from a dead person, who would it be? Well, like, Scrooge was an older man, probably, well, not old, but for a Victorian at the time, breathing in coal smut. In the book, he's supposed to be probably in his mid to late 60s. And Tim was, what, like 9 or 10? So if you have Tim be a grown-up, you know, in his early 20s, well, Scrooge was probably dead. And so I thought, that would be interesting. Scrooge in the place of, like, Jacob Marley. But then and I didn't want to have a bunch of different ghosts. So I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to have one ghost, but he sort of changes aspects as he shows different things. So I had the ghost named Chance, because he's showing something different to Tim, because Tim is young. Scrooge was being shown how his attitude had made a sour life for himself and had done harm in ways that he didn't realize, and that nobody cared whether or not he was alive, and kind of showing what type of person really is valuable in life. It's not somebody who has the most money. It's maybe someone who makes other people feel important, like Fezziwig and his nephew Fred. So, and even Bob Cratchit. So that was a lesson that Scrooge needed to learn. Tim needed to learn that he was missing opportunities for really what was the most important things in life, which was like love and family. And that he was going to miss those chances by pursuing money, like by keeping his nose down and focused on that. He was going to miss out on essentially someone who was supposed to be his wife, because he wouldn't be paying attention to her. He would have gone right past her because his focus wasn't there. His focus was on the fear of poverty and worrying about the future, instead of enjoying his current family and then looking out for opportunities to fall in love and be in love and love somebody else. So it's really simple, but it's very Christmassy, kind of an adventure, kind of got some spooky parts. So yeah, kind of a ghost story of Christmas. I illustrated it. There's a few pictures in there, just like I did with Scales. There's more pictures in Scales than there are in Christmas Frost, but it's not as long. It's a short one. You could read it in an afternoon, I think. Makes a great present for somebody. It's got a really pretty red and gold cover. Yeah, it's a fun one, and you'll enjoy it. So I'll put the link down below, and you can snap that one up and read it as soon as you can. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. It's a good story. Check it out.